A Hunter in Teyvat, Chapter 90, Fan Fiction, by Azazyel. Beisht was a lovely host. Honestly, she welcomed us into her home even when we came with clearly hostile intentions. She assuaged our fears of a semi-divine being throwing a bitch fit on Liyue, and then after all that she invited us to a seafood barbecue basically. Seriously, what could she do to welcome us better? Well, after a lovely little dinner of thinly sliced fish, we realized her courtesy and welcoming nature was a facade. Within minutes of eating the fish she served to us, Shinha was shivering and twitching as I realized we were fed the fucking Genshin equivalent of some kind of pufferfish. I could feel my nerves going haywire and even breathing became more difficult. 2,000 fucking years. Beisht ranted loudly. 2,000 years my fat dicked Oniai-chan has been sealed away and driven to insanity by that fucking cuck Morax. And the moment his head pops up and he gets instantly fucking resealed. Beisht all but screamed in our faces and then continued with her insane smile plastered across her face. Hell no. I will have my vengeance if it's the last thing I do. She roared into the sky before looking at me and Shinha with a sadistic light in her eyes, before she scoffed. You know I was going to feed you both extremely powerful aphrodisiacs and have you force yourself on Shinha after I bound her up, but I doubted I could use magical arts to bind up the student of Cloud Retainer. She monologues, and at that moment, I realized I may very well die here, unable to breathe properly due to my nervous system shutting down. I felt ever closer to my very soul and, by extension, my semblance. My semblance, the Schnee glyphs, was many things, but at its core, it was the creation of glyphs that would control natural phenomena around me, which included gravity, time, space, and even life or death, as was the case with my summoning. 2 large glyphs bloomed into life around us, and at the sight of our resistance Beisht sniffed in disdain, creating a water whip to destroy the glyphs, but the whip of water was dispersed as a fair hand pushed through the glyph and sent a billowing pillar of dust at high speeds like a sandblaster, which broke apart the water whip and slammed Beisht through the sandstone walls of her castle. Guizhong gently stepped out of the Schnee glyph with a sigh as she took in Shinha and my forms as we choked on our very bodies, refusing to breathe, with her speaking. Well, Jake, I got to squat in your soul for a couple of days, and seeing my friends again was nice. I will try to kill Beisht before you die, and I lose the energy to maintain my physical form. She finished wryly, and with the last controlled flex of my physical energy, I flipped Guizhong off, making her freeze in surprise at my action. I wasn't going to fucking die here. With the other Schnee glyph, I pulled it over my body and my vision went dim as my soul all but collapsed at the strain of turning back time for Shinha and my own body for 20 minutes, with things like our vomit and drool just disappearing into dust as our state of being was reversed in time to before we ate the Teyvat equivalent of a pufferfish. How? Beisht howled as she clambered through the hole that Guizhong knocked her through. How did you touch upon the laws of time? Celestia killed all the gods who had anything to do with time or space. She demanded, but Guizhong silently stood in front of my collapsed form as my soul was run ragged at using the time manipulation glyph. Shinha then stood up silently with her spear, Calamity Queller teleporting into her hands from her spatial storage. And Shinha didn't say a word as she strode forward towards Beisht, and when I saw in her offhand an Adepti magical talisman formed and Beisht cursed, throwing her hands up to create a deluge of water to send at us, but Shinha threw that talisman that turned into a swirling storm of cryo-energy that froze the wall of water and beyond it, with Beisht roaring, but her scream turned into a hissing scream as she abandoned her human form and took on her massive serpent form that towered over her castle. Jake. I told you so. Shinha said softly as she looked behind me with a small smile, and my face twitched at how I scolded her for not going to just kill or suppress Beisht. And look where my soft-handed approach had gotten us. Poison and almost killed if it wasn't for me having cheated to revert the states of our bodies. As not even Shinha with her cultivation Xianxia bullshit body was able to shrug off neurotoxins. Okay, so the new plan for dealing with people that were almost certainly hostile, just bonk them over the head with a ruin guard fist so they get knocked out. Either way, I shakily stood up and walked outside the already fucked up castle and saw Shinha freezing and stabbing Beisht to death. There was no other way to put it. In the shallower waters Shinha overwhelming cryo-energy froze Beisht's oversized snake-like form in place. And with the snake goddess frozen in place, Shenhut took her time to stab the shit out of her with her spear that pierced through the scales of Beisht. Next 15 chapters are on Patreon and Ko-Fi. Hey, if you like this and want daily uploads and to read early chapters, please drop a tip in my Ko-Fi https://ko-fi.com/Azazyel22926 or https://www.piatre-on.com/Azazyel and your precious energy stones. It keeps me working on it. My commission rate is $15 per 1,000 words. Azazyel.